welcome to the third webinar hosted by Citrus Global. Here with me today is Dr. Harrison Stewart, who is a CISO, a very experienced one at that. So in terms of how this is going to run, there's going to be a Q&A session at the end. So if you can see at the bottom of the screen, there's a box for Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout, feel free to type them in and we'll run through them at the end. Okay. We've also got someone from Citrus who's behind the scenes facilitating the webinar too. But yeah, Harrison, I'll leave it to you at the moment.
Okay, that is great. Hello, thanks, Jack. Thanks everybody who joined this webinar. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that we are all looking for a solution. Mostly, we are all trying to find a way to get certified by the ISO 27001 and all other kind of stuff. Why I'm presenting this is due to the fact that I know some of my colleagues, they are also in the process of trying to get certified or maybe trying to find a way to mitigate their security risk, even if they are not in for the ISO certificate. So I decided to take the opportunity just to come around and share my experience and how we are doing currently in our vicinity. There's something, a short thing about me. I'm Harrison Stewart, currently a CISO, and been in the IT for almost 20 years. Have been a CO, CSO, and you name it. And also I have already written some academic journals already and published some scientific journals and written some books. So today the title is ISO 27001 certification made easier. And I've just made a little presentation here, very short, due to the fact that we got 9 pages, but I'm not going to go through all 19 pages. I'm just going to brush through so that we can go straight to the main reason why we are here. Because at the end of the day, we are looking for the solution and not the theory. So the strategy that I say all the time is that choosing a method or a framework to address current issues to achieve goals and objectives to solve problems. So as I said in the beginning, we are not here to talk about theory, but going straight to the solution based on the problem that we have. Now, information, we know that information can be a process, data, asset, anything, even things that are kept in the cloud or on premise are all data, asset that we always have to take, address them seriously in terms of security. Then we go down to types of information. Our printed documents, our data stored on computers, data stored on storage media, in cloud, spoken information, and all kind of things due to the fact that for example, when there's a security awareness that when you are sharing information with somebody on the telephone, you got to be more careful, all these kind of things. So these are all part of information that we need to find a way to save. And these are all things that ISO 27001 is always addressing. So printed documents, your data stored on computers, storage media, cloud, spoken information, and even your pictures, and etc. Now we go to the threats to information. The threats to the information that I listed above are insider threat. We have the sabotage. We have the unrestricted access, system network failure, lack of documentation. Documentation is a problem for many organizations, and also maybe virus, malware, ransomware, natural disaster, which we cannot prevent due to the fact that it is a kind of unforeseen circumstance or something that we cannot guide against. Then fire and etc. Now, who are under threats? We see the financial institutes always having problem with data breach. We see the hotels, the same thing, the government institutes. Taking, for example, USA, when Trump is saying that he is sure that somebody, the other party has stolen the votes, and it's all about governmental, whereby we have also the threat, industries, human factor, and technology. Then what are the security measures that we have to apply or adapt when we have these threats? We have to look into the management by, first of all, looking into the human and technology. Then we look into the management. Is the management supporting in terms of security measures? The personnel, are they being trained? Technology, what kind of technology are you currently implementing, buying? Because at the end of the day, we always have to find a way to close the gap between human and technology. and also your logical aspect, the procedural that you will use to address your issues, and then your physical vicinity also. Then we have here some parameters needed. According to ISO 2701, we talk about a CIA triangle, which is the confidentiality, integrity, and then the availability. Talking in terms of the authentication is something which is from the NIST, so it is also vital that we add it here. There are other three that are also included in the parameters, but here we stick to the four. Then here, as I said, I'm going to talk to you about the approach that we adopt currently here. We have the stages like you have to establish, you have to implement, you have to operate, you have to monitor, review, maintain, and improve. And then things to consider whenever you are thinking of maybe implementing ISO, you have to look into your business requirements, your asset classification, security requirements, legal requirements, risk assessment, and also your ISO or your organizational control. Due to the fact that maybe an organization has its own control, it doesn't mean that you always have to adapt the ISO controls. If you already have your organizational control, you can map it together with ISO so that you can set that one as a control. Here, down here, you have your policy, procedures, and your controls that are stated. For the reason why you see the setbacks here is because we will be doing a demonstration with a set-based platform. That is why we have the set-based icon here. And then here also the standard harmonization. We can see that when we talk about ISO 2701, then we also have to talk about a 27002 due to the fact that the 001 are the things that are set. These are the annexes. And then the 002 are the way we show, it's like a guideline, how we should mitigate what has been assigned by the 001. So here we can see that organization controls are also down here, and also organizational approach. So here is like, if, as I said before, if you have your own organizational controls and your own organizational approaches, you can also go ahead and match it with the ISO and then use it to harmonize your situation. So shall I continue, or do we have to start afresh?
I think you can continue from where you were,
Okay.
unless you wanted to go over, one or two slides ago.
Okay, I can go very fast. So then we can also say the main topic is the ISO 2701 certification made easier, and we are basing on the set-based ISMS and also the 95 cycle NFC approach. And I'm presenting this. So the strategy that we adopting, as I said before, choosing a method or a framework to address the current issues, due to the fact that there are a lot of frameworks, methods, systems, softwares out there. Most of them are not addressing the need of an organization. And then also we describe what information actually is. At the end of the day, it's based on data or an asset, are more like things kept on in the cloud, and also things on premise. So here also we talk about types of information, that is a printed documents, your data stored on computers, distant storage media, stored in the cloud, spoken information, and also your pictures. Then we spoke about the threats to the information that we said ahead. This information, we have things like insider threat, we have sabotage, we have unrestricted restricted access, system network failure, lack of documentation, which I know many organizations or many CISOs or ITs or any organization having a big issue with documentation. And virus, natural disaster, fire. And then we also spoke about the people who are under threat, financial institutes, hotels, government institutes, human, technology, etc. Then we came to the security measures, that is the management, personnel, technology, logical, procedure, and physical. These are all things that are needed to address the security of an organization. Then we spoke about the parameters needed. Actually, the CIA triangle will be the confidentiality, integrity, availability, but due to the fact that security keeps on progressing, we go straight to the authentication part of the NIST. Then we go to the NFC approach, which is going to be based on establishing and implementing, operating, monitoring, reviewing, maintaining, and then also improving. Then things to consider, we spoke about the business requirements, which is very important when you are thinking about your ISO certification. You got to know the business requirement, your scope. Then after that, you have to come straight to your asset classification by labeling it and also giving the owner of each asset. And then security requirements for each asset. The requirements should be analyzed. Here we have the legal requirements. If an asset has something to do with illegal, then it will have a different kind of a score when it comes to the risk analysis. Then here we come to the risk assessment. Then also here we spoke about the ISO, or your organizational controls. Then we spoke about standards and harmonization, whereby we say that the 27001, we have the 2702, which is helping people to control, or like a guideline how you should go ahead based on the annex that you have chosen. If your organization has some kind of controls or some kind of approaches, then you can also map it with ISOs, and then you can use it to, especially when your organization has to abide by some rules and regulations. So it means that at the end of the day, your ISO certification will be for the ISO and also for your legal or your country legal requirements. Here we spoke about the steps, or maybe we did not, but these are the steps that we are going to implement our ISO. First, we are going to define the ISMS system, establishing the ISMS document requirement, the responsibility, internal audit, management review, ISMS improvement. So these are some things that we keep in mind, and that's something that we'll be looking at today. Here we have the structures of the annex, which is starting from A5 to A18. This is 2013, which is different from the Pro 1 2005. So now for this webinar, we will only look into the asset management, and also how we will assign the controls to the asset, and also how we will create out at the end of the day some document like scope of the ISMS, information security policy and objectives, our risk assessment and risk treatment methodology, statement of applicability, risk treatment plan, the risk assessment report. And also we can define the security roles and responsibilities, and also based on the inventory of our asset, and also the use of acceptability, and also the control policy. So we will be covering this. We will not do any documentations here. We're just going to use the setbacks to get everything down. At the end of the day, the records that we will be having will be something that we can also show to the auditors at the end of the day. The mandatory records down here also can all be generated on setbacks, but mostly organizations have them themselves. So this is the approach of the setbacks, whereby we start with the risk analysis, ISMS scope, the methodology. Here we have the quantitative and we have the qualitative, based on which one you want to use. If your organization says, well, we don't want to go with the quantitative, they can go straight with the qualitative. Here you have your asset inventory. You have the possibility to inventorize your IT. You have the possibility to inventorize your OT, which can be your SCADA and your RCS at the end of the day. And also you can inventorize your staff. Here we have the asset risk. So after we finish inventorizing them, we have to go ahead and then do what? Assess the risk of each of the asset using maybe the quantitative or the qualitative. Down here, we will also select our controls based on either we use the ISO annex or we map it with some organizational controls that we have. Then we go to the risk acceptance due to the fact that some organizations have a lot of departments or maybe different kind of hierarchy. That means that we have to make sure that if we have a risk, who has to accept the risk? Do we have to accept the risk or do we have to reject? If we have to reject a risk, who has to sign for that? If we have to accept the risk, who is responsible for the acceptance of this risk? Then at the end of the day, we talk about a risk treatment plan. Then, so as I said, the third step is that we will get at the end of the day our statement of applicability, and then everything that I think that we will then have the time to ask some questions, and then yeah. So is there any question till now, or I should just continue?
How long will it take for someone to get certified when they use this particular tool? How long does it usually take?
Well, I think that from my experience, at least one month, 1 to 2 months, you should be able to, yeah, you will say that you are ready for that.
Does no one in the Q&A box? Okay, well, I think we're running a bit short on time, but I've got a few more questions for you. How long have you been personally using this certification?
Well, I think that we started using this tool in the year 2019, so I can say that it is going almost to a year or so. Yeah.
Okay, great. If you'd like to unshare your screen so we can see you.
Hey.
But apart from the certification, what else can it do?
Well, the service can do a lot of things. For example, risk analysis of your organization. For example, looking into your security measures due to the fact that the ISO is mostly more focused on IT processing. But with the aspect of the service, you can address your security measures and also IT processing. It can also look into your financial risk and all these kind of things. Yeah.
Okay, great. We've had a question from Tobias Hertz. So he's asked Dr. Stewart approximately how much is the total cost to pursue the certification?
Well, when it depends, because when you are using a tool like the setbase, I think that it will not be so much costly due to the fact that at the end of the day, it depends on the auditor who is coming to audit the your vicinity. But at the end of the day, you need everything to be ready before you will have to request for an auditor to for the certification. So the price vary actually.
Well, I think that's it from all the questions so far.
Mm-hmm.
Harrison, I just want to thank you very much for your time, for all that you've said and the information you've shared. Have you got anything else that you'd like to add, finally?
Well, at the end of the day, I think that I was very fast due to the timing. And it was a bit more like, oh, what is he clicking and this and that. But at the end of the day, it is a tool that when you give time to it, you understand it very well. I have used other ISMS tools from the past, whereby there were always some constraint. And we've been using this one, and we are all happy about this tool. So yeah, that's all.
We've had a final question from Tobias Hertz. Do you recommend any YouTube tutorials and or websites to help learn and prepare for the ISO 2001?
Well, sure. I mean, there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube and other kind of web, but the issue is that sometimes the information given are not 100% accurate. Because when you do a search right now on YouTube or maybe on Google for ISO tutorial, it can happen that what you are going to get is an ISO 27001 from 2005. So at the end of the day, you might be moving towards ISO, but you will be going through the wrong direction. So you always have to be much more careful in terms of tutorial online.
Right. Okay. Thanks very much. Understood. Okay, fantastic. And a final comment from Clodagh is the tool looks very interesting, and she mentioned she's been using that for many years, and it looks like a nice asset manager integration.
Okay, cool.
Fantastic. Well, that's pretty much it. So again, thanks so much for your time and sharing an insight and going into that level of detail. Hopefully we can have you as a guest in the future for a webinar too.
Sounds good. And I thank you a lot, Jack, and all the participants. I'm very grateful for your time.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Okay, brilliant.
All right. Talk to you later.
Talk to you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye. Bye-bye.